Despite the Jets being 4-0 away this season, can New England defend home field and continue their dominance against the Jets?
Yeah, I believe so. And I just want to be transparent here. Obviously, I'm rocking the team, but I'm going to put my bias aside for this segment. So we'll get that out of the way. When it comes to the game itself, I think the New England is going to win in a very similar manner as they beat the Jets the first time around. This is not a game where I think that the Patriots are going to blow the doors off of the Jets and they're going to win by 2 or 3 positions. I just don't see that happening in any way possible when these two teams run it back this weekend. I do expect a very competitive, really sort of defensive battle between these two teams. And that's exactly what we saw in the first matchup. I didn't think that Mac Jones for the Patriots really lit it up against the Jets. There were some drives where they were able to get into the red zone, but they weren't able to cash in on touchdowns. They had to settle for field goals. So you could give a little bit of credit, or you can give a lot of credit to that Jets defense for being able to step up in the red zone and forcing New England to settle for field goals instead of allowing up touchdowns. But, when you flip it, when you look at the Jets offense, they just couldn't really get anything consistently moving in a positive direction simply just because Zach Wilson was way too turnover prone against the Patriots in that first matchup. He had 3 interceptions. And Kev, you said it best, like in the lead up. It just seems as if Belichick really knows how to scheme against Zach Wilson and this Jets offense simply just because there were just too many drives where the Jets just couldn't get anything started. Either that or it was a turnover, or if they were able to get any sort of points, it was kind of too late. They had to dig themselves out of a hole, but in the first matchup, it was just too big of a hole to get out of. And that was despite the fact that I think New England gave the Jets ample opportunities to come back in that game, in that first matchup. So if the Jets are going to learn one thing from that first matchup is they have to limit their turnovers. Zach Wilson cannot be as turnover prone in this second game if the Jets have any shot to go up to Foxborough and pull out a dub, to really kind of put themselves really at the top of the AFC East at this point. But I think it's going to be very difficult for them to do it just because I think that Bill Belichick and that defense, this is the best way that I could describe it. I think they're going to have their ears pinned back against Zach Wilson just because I think very similar to what we saw a couple years ago when Sam Darnold was saying that he was seeing ghosts on that famous Monday night game when they were playing the New England Patriots. I think that you could say something similar in regards to Zach Wilson simply just because he just is not having what I would consider top flight performances against that Patriot defense. And that Patriots defense, when it comes to the amount of turnovers that they're forcing, they're at the top of the league. If they're not number one, they're definitely in the top five. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to get another turnover or two against this Jets offense. And it better not be more than that because as far as I see it, then the Patriots can really run away with it if the Jets turn the ball over 2+ times or even potentially 3 times. So, like I said, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the Jets here simply just because they were a better team as far as their record was when they played the Patriots a couple of weeks ago. But you could tell that they just did not play up to their expectation in that game, and they really got to show it to me that they could get over that hump offensively to get past this New England defense, and I'm just not really certain of it. And I'm not really convinced that Mac Jones and the Patriot offense are really going to light it up. I see Ramondre Stevenson being a focal piece in this equation for the Patriots offense. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets somewhere around 15 to 20 touches, gets around about maybe 75 to 100 yards rushing. Wouldn't be surprised he gets maybe 4 or 5 catches. And then when it comes to the wide receiving core, Jacoby Myers is definitely going to be involved. We'll see whether or not that Devontae Parker could potentially be inserted back into the lineup. He's been dealing with some lingering injury issues the last couple of weeks, but coming off the bye, maybe we'll see a chance for him to play. But I have to see more from Mac Jones. I have not seen the consistency that I saw from him last year and this year particularly. It just seems like I think the coaching issues and just really the play calling this year, I think has affected him in a detrimental way. I think that he could have a better second half of the year, and maybe this is the game where we may see that type of rookie season performance that we saw from him in multiple games last year. But I got to see more from Mac Jones if he's really going to convince me that he's turned a corner this year. But I think that Mac Jones is going to have a solid day, probably around 200 to 250 yards passing, maybe a touchdown or two. But I really think that the Patriots defense is really going to be the focal piece for the Patriots winning this game. If I had to put a score on it, I think this is going to be a relatively low scoring game. I think the Patriots win this one. I'm going to say 23-17. I think both teams are going to be able to score points intermittently throughout the game, but I think that Patriots defense are going to be able to force some turnovers from the Jets, and I think that's really going to be the difference maker in this one. I think the Patriots are going to be able to turn those turnovers into points, and I think by and large, I think New England's going to win this one in a close one. 23-17 is what I have it. So Kev, I'll kick it to you from here.
I definitely agree it's going to be a close one. I mean, we've said this for weeks, and it's just history is just on our side here. Division games are no joke, especially with two opponents that know each other as well as they do in the Jets and the Patriots. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying the Jets learned their lesson. At least I hope that they did. And they realized that you cannot put Zach Wilson in situations to where he has to force the ball downfield. You know that New England's going to bring the pressure. You know that they are going to be able to take away your best weapon, which is going to be the run game. The Jets win games when they run the football effectively and when their defense is swarming. That means that Bill Belichick is going to have to put the ball in Zach Wilson's hands. So Robert Saleh and this offense are really going to have to find some makeshift ways to get Zach into either an early rhythm or make that offense faster. Get the ball out of his hands quickly, short intermediate routes, whether or not that's going to be completely out of the gun, the pistol, rolling it out, play action pass. You have to find ways to make sure that Zach Wilson remains efficient and confident. When you get into a young quarterback's mind like Bill Belichick does, they've completely fall out of whatever rhythm they start the game with. And again, whether that's good warm-ups, good week of practice, a good nap before the game, whatever it is, whatever quarterbacks have to do to get themselves mentally prepared, you're looking at this and you're saying Bill Belichick, his track record against inexperienced quarterbacks is damn near flawless. And there's a reason behind it. And it's because the Patriots genuinely look at your offense and they say, all right, you have a superstar receiver. He's out of the game. It's like the equivalent of like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Marvel. It's like when Tony Stark used to like zoom into the schematics of the Iron Man suit and he'd like break it apart into pieces, like that 3D image where he'd take a piece out and zoom. Like I feel like that's what Belichick does when he schemes, because it's like, I'm going to take the most important piece of how this offense lives and breathes, and it's gone. And it's just the proof. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots are going to stack the box and really force Zach Wilson to go out and beat them. Now, if that is the case, again, Zach Wilson has got to be prepared for it. He's got to be ready for the adversity, and he has to be ready to make those reads and adjustments for when the Patriots bring pressure. Now, for the Patriots, I will say, Kyle already alluded to, they gave away plenty of opportunities for the Jets to come back because that Jets defense was able to make Mac Jones' life a little bit more of a living hell. For the Patriots' sake, they're coming off of a bye. They're rested. They're relaxed. Hopefully, they can come into this game a little bit more prepared, and they're going to be able to go at the Jets defense a little bit differently. We all know that Sauce Gardner is looking to be arguably one of the best corners in football, not just the best rookie corner, because he has proven time in and time again the kid's locked down. He has faced a number of good receivers this year. I mean, he has just proven himself in every category that you can. So expect him to follow the best receiver on the field, whether that is Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference. The guy's an animal. So I think the Patriots are going to have to lean on Ramondre Stevenson. I think they're going to have to find a way to get Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry involved in this offense early, attack the middle of the field, and really gash that Jets not necessarily secondary, but really come over the middle of the field, get those linebackers tired, make sure that those safeties are going to be exhausted and having to come down into the box regularly. So overall, I will say that I believe that the Patriots will continue this victory, or should I say continue the streak of beating the Jets, just for the sake of Bill Belichick's just a better coach. And that's no disrespect to Robert Saleh. It's just history speaks for itself. I will agree with Kyle. This will be a close one. I think this will be somewhere along the lines of maybe 2024, maybe 21-17, somewhere along those lines. If the Jets can find a way to get into a rhythm early, I think maybe they can score a little bit more. But I got to rock with Bill, man. When you have Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches of all time, going up against a kid that has shown us throughout his tenure in terms of his 2 years where he has good weeks and then like god awful weeks, most of those bad weeks are going to be against Bill Belichick. So I got the Pats in this one.